Friends and family, we're just about to begin, so if you can just settle in. Well, we'll let you both get settled in. That was absolutely beautiful, very nicely done. And you both look very nice today, which is fitting. You know, this arrangement that you're taking part in is something that originated with Jehovah. He's the creator of it, the inventor of it, the marriage. But he invented it in such a way, or created it in such a way, that it should bring lasting happiness to those who take part in it. In fact, right there in the scriptures, when you look at the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, it talks about Jehovah giving to Adam. What did he give to Adam? Well, the earth. He gave him life. Now, the earth was to be a home and had animals, things that he could enjoy, beautiful scenery. So Jehovah had given wonderful gifts right from the start, but he gave a commission that Adam should subdue the earth, take care of it. Now that was very important. It was something that Jehovah God was instructing that should be done. Now right there, you see there in Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 and 22, right there we see that Jehovah married the man and the woman. It says here, so Jehovah caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of his ribs and then closed up the flesh over its place. And Jehovah God built the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. So there, Jehovah had merged these two together. Now, this had never been done before. This was a gift from Jehovah. So when we consider that, we want to always think about what Jehovah says should be done within a marriage. The reason for that is that if we have the opportunity to go to the inventor of something in order to understand it, know how it works best, but we want to take advantage of that opportunity. And in this case, it's Jehovah, the almighty sovereign of the universe, so it does us well to make sure that we do that. Even if we feel like maybe we do know better. No, just do it that way. If we continue to do it that way, it guarantees success. Now, Jehovah is described in the Bible as a God of love. In fact, he's described as love. There in Timothy, it says that he's a happy God. So if we want happiness, well, again, we go to the source. If we want love, we go to the source, Jehovah God. So, considering that, how can we make our marriage a loving one that's full of happiness? Well, let's go ahead and go to the source and see what we can do. But first, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever heard a beautiful love song? Yeah, no doubt you've heard a few. You might have sang one to Arelly. Yeah, maybe you even invented one yourself. You said, this one's mine for her. Well, when you listen to these love songs, often you might even think that individual understands the ways of love because those words speak to my heart. I really feel what he's saying or she's saying. But truth be told, the writers of these songs, many of them are looking for love themselves, maybe in all the wrong places. You see, maybe they're not finding it. Maybe they found it before and left it. Maybe they abused it, didn't treat it well. But they made a beautiful song. What does that tell us? That tells us that these are not the individuals that we want to seek in order to find out the answers to where love is and true, long-lasting happiness. So, who we want to seek for those things? Jehovah God. Now, notice what Jesus said in Matthew 22. Here in Matthew 22, look at verse 36 here. Matthew 22. Jesus said something very important. We want to listen to him because he knew Jehovah better than anyone else. And when he spoke, he didn't use an outline like I'm using right now. I have an outline to keep me on pace where I'm supposed to be. He had no outline. He simply spoke what he knew right from the heart. So here in Matthew 22, in verse 36, he was asked, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" He said, "You must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart and with your whole soul and with your whole mind." This is the greatest and first commandment. So when we're talking about love and lasting happiness, where does it start? Well, it starts with Jehovah God. It always starts with Jehovah God. So we want to keep that in mind. Now, there in Ecclesiastes, we're given a formula. And when you think about a formula, if someone gave you directions, you sent me directions to get here. I followed those directions, here I am. Many followed those directions, and here they are. This is a formula in Scripture, and it's Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. Try to always keep this in mind. Although this day will pass, in fact, very quickly, this day will pale in comparison to the rest of your lives. But try to keep these things in mind. Now, right here in Ecclesiastes 4, 9, it says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their hard work. So we can consider you two. For if one of them falls, the other can help his partner up. But what will happen to the one who falls with no one to help him up? Moreover, if 2 lie down together, they will stay warm. But how can just one keep warm? And someone may overpower one alone, but 2 together can take a stand against him, and a threefold cord cannot quickly be torn in two. You see, this helps us to recognize that the formula is not complete with just you two, albeit you feel good together and can enjoy one another, and each of you can help each other. But you are much stronger together when Jehovah God is with you. All 3 of you together. Now, does that mean that everything you do must include Jehovah God? Yes, absolutely. If you truly want success. We can trust God's advice. He knows our physical makeup. He knows your emotional makeup, both of your emotional makeups. He understands why you have tears today. He knows that this is something that's coming from your heart. You're feeling what you're doing right now. Jehovah understands that. He understands more about you than you understand about you. The same with you, Isaiah. He knows you very well, and he's pleading with you to keep him close to you, especially now. This is a very important day for both of you, but it's only important because it's the beginning of something that's very special. The beginning of something that we hope will last forever. That's our hope. Now, much of that depends on both of you. Now, considering that you want to keep Jehovah in your life, you want to make it a daily priority, if you can, to do your best, Isaiah, to do your best to incorporate Jehovah in your life every day and help her to learn more and more about Jehovah every day in some way. So perhaps studying the Bible together, starting the day with the daily text, or ending it that way, doing something to show Jehovah that I'm looking toward you for direction in my life. Now, one of the reasons that's so important, you both are young, and this is new. So even if you were relatively old, it may still be new. And learning the ways of a marriage with an individual, well, that's something that's brand new. Even if you had been with that individual for 50 years, locking together in marriage is something altogether different. You see, because now you're saying that this one belongs to me, us two together. So what you do, you want to do together, but incorporate Jehovah into it. Now, when we consider the husband's role, he has one that deserves respect, but he can do much to earn that respect, and you want to do that. 2 of the most important questions that you can ask as a husband have to do with how. How can I live up to my dedication? That's very important, no matter what we do in our lives. But one of the second most important questions for you, considering this day and the rest of your life, is going to be, how can I make my marriage a success? Live up to my dedication, make my marriage a success. Within the scope of those two questions lies everything you're going to do for the rest of your life, if you get the answer and make sure that you understand it. Now, in the scriptures, here at 1 Corinthians in chapter 11, we see that Jehovah actually placed man as a head within the family. So you think about this arrangement here. This is at 1 Corinthians 11:3, and here it says, "But I want you to know that the head of every man is the Christ. In turn, the head of a woman is the man. In turn, the head of the Christ is God." So who doesn't have a head? Jehovah, alone. So a woman, when she takes part in this arrangement, she recognizes that she has a head, and you are that head. But you have to recognize that too. But how do you carry on this relationship now that you recognize that you're the head of your wife? You want to do so with a sound mind. That means that you're doing this within the scope of Jehovah's instruction. That's how to have a sound mind. Outside of that, you learn the ways of the world, what the world provides. All those beautiful love songs, you see, and you go to those individuals, you say, "How do I do this?" And those individuals say, "I have no idea. My marriage failed. But I put this song out 10 years ago. In fact, we were together then." But if you go to Jehovah God, it doesn't matter when. Jehovah will show you how to do it successfully, how to be a head in this system and beyond. But this includes showing love to Arelly at all times, being kind to Arelly at all times. When she walked up here, you reached out your hand, you made sure that she was taken care of, you checked and said, make sure she didn't trip right here. That's very important. Those kind of things, they really are. In fact, those kind of things all the time, after today, are going to be very important. This includes taking care of her needs, all of her needs, but spiritually most of all, but her emotional needs, which may or may not be a challenge for you, I don't know, but you're going to have to take care of those. Make sure that she's okay. You know, you comforted her when she was in tears, and you're going to have to continue to do that, to make sure that she knows that you're there to comfort her in those times. You want to take the lead in worship. Do not overlook taking the lead in worship. Balance your Christian family life with all the other duties that you'll have to take care of. Make sure that that is first and foremost. Someone told me once, and I've learned this to be true, teach your spouse, teach your wife to love Jehovah, you're teaching her to love you. The same goes for a wife to a husband. And it proves true. It really does. And it stands the test of time. But by doing these things, you earn this deep respect. Now, if you were to conduct yourself as a tyrant and start to feel really big, then I'm the man. I'm the head. I say what goes. Well, might not be that long before you go. Yeah, or at least in her mind and heart. You never want to do that. Always give her a reason to see that you are a respected man. And she will. Keeping Jehovah in the arrangement guarantees it. A husband is to follow Christ's example, and we see the example there in the book of Ephesians in chapter 5, and in the few verses here, we'll just go over these, Ephesians chapter 5 and 25, 28, and 29, and let's just look at that briefly here. So Ephesians 5. And starting there in 25, you notice it says, "Husbands, continue loving your wives, just as the Christ also loved the congregation and gave himself up for it." Now, if we look down at verse 28, "In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. A man who loves his wife loves himself. For no man ever hated his own body, but he feeds and cherishes it, just as the Christ does the congregation." Now, considering that arrangement, that relationship, Christ and the congregation, how far did Christ go for the congregation? Well, he taught, he nurtured, he cared for them. Right there in person, he laid his life down for them. Jesus on his own didn't have to do that. He didn't need to do it for Jehovah. It was for mankind, for the congregation. That's why he did it. He was willing to do that because he loved them so much, just like his father Jehovah. But what we're doing is considering ourselves in relation to him, to the congregation, ourselves with our wives. Willing to actually lay down your life for your wife, if it ever came to that. And we certainly hope it never does, but your mindset would be that way. That you love her so much, you'd absolutely do it. If we imitate Jesus' way, then we will love at all times our wife. But when you consider that, you might ask, well, what about when we have a disagreement or she makes me upset? I still have to love her like that? Sing that love song in my heart when I'm not happy? Yes, you do. Now, that can be a challenge because when you're not happy, you see, you're not feeling that love song. If you were actually writing a love song, the lyrics might change a little when you're really mad. You see, you start to write, I love you so much. You know, when I think about good things, your face is always there. But then if you're upset, you see, when I think about, you see, the words just don't come. But see, those are the times most of all when you need to remember, one, this day, but Jehovah God. Keep him in mind. Keep him in mind. Ask him, how do I do this right now? Because I do love her, but right now I'm not feeling it. So Jehovah, help me to express myself in such a way that reminds her, even now, that I love you very much. So when we look there in the book of John, we see there in chapter 13, the example that Jesus showed in love, and he said that we too need to express ourselves that way in humility, in caring for others. Right there in 13:34 of John, he says, I am giving you a new commandment that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love among yourselves. And so we certainly want to imitate this, keep it in mind at all times, do our best to do that. And of course, you're only human, which means that you, like everyone else, is imperfect. So you're going to make mistakes. Now, it's interesting that you're looking up to Isaiah as your head, and you should. But truth be told, he's going to make mistakes. And when he does, sometime it might appear that the little boy that he used to be came out again. It might even surprise you, Isaiah. You say, where did he come from? I left him a long time ago. Well, he's still in there. And sometime it will come out. And you will love that too and help him to continue growing. Same is going to take place with her. And you'll help her to continue growing because you truly love her. Jesus was mild-tempered, and he was a refreshment to all those that came to him. So you're to be that for Arelly. Well, how about a wife? How about you, Arelly? Now, you are to be deeply loved by Isaiah. Now, we all love you very much, but Isaiah, now you're in a special relationship with Isaiah. Today and forward, you are binding together as one. So now you see your head. This is all new. Now, two of the most important questions that you can ask as a wife have to do also with how. And they're the same as the husband. How do I live up to my dedication, Jehovah? How do I make my marriage a success? Those questions are what you really, really want and need to be answered. Now, in the scriptures there at 1 Peter 3:7, a Christian husband is told to assign honor to the wife. So what does that mean? Assign honor as to a weaker vessel. That doesn't mean that she's less than you and smart or anything like that. You know, often the wives are smarter than the husbands, very often. Often they can figure out certain things better than the husbands, maybe mathematically, maybe with money or what have you. They're not a lesser person, but a weaker vessel. Now, this brings to mind something that's very, very precious. Now, if you're assigning her honor, that means as far as you're concerned, you are giving her dignity. You're holding her up in your mind and heart at all times, that she is very precious. to you. Now, Jehovah holds that very serious. In fact, in that same scriptures, he says that your prayers could be hindered if you don't care for that appropriately. So it's very important that you do your best to make sure that you assign dignity to Arelly. And Arelly, you deserve that as a wife because you're entering into this beautiful arrangement that Jehovah created. Now, in recognition of headship, this principle, in order to really promote happiness and success, we're going to consider Ephesians again here in chapter 5, once again in verse 22 through 24. So Ephesians 5, 22 through 24. Now, I told you that you're going to smile a lot tonight and you're going to sit here for a little bit while I speak. And I said, you might get a little tired sitting there, but this is very important. So here we are, and it's happening, right? So Ephesians 5, 22. Notice how important this is. Let wives be in subjection to their husbands as to the Lord, because a husband is head of his wife, just as the Christ is head of the congregation, he being a savior of this body. In fact, as the congregation is in subjection to the Christ, wives should also be to their husbands in everything. So a wife, she deserves deep respect from her husband. And you, Arelly, want to do your best to cooperate with his headship in everything and in every way, to show him that you're in harmony with what he's doing. Now, if we look in verse 33, it says, nevertheless, each one of you must love his wife as he does himself. On the other hand, the wife should have deep respect for her husband. Never would you put each other down in front of someone else. Never would you make the spouse feel bad to others, telling others bad things about your mate. No, if you have something that you need to help the other with, you do that in private. You help each other with those things because the two do become one. So in as much as someone may do that, well, they're hindering themselves before Jehovah. We never want to do that. But you'll respect that arrangement too, Arelly, as you continue on together. No doubt you're both very excited and you're looking forward to the rest of your life. Now, Arelly can prove to be a wonderful helper to you, Isaiah. You cut hair, right? Yeah, and I understand you do a fantastic job of it, as from what I was told. And I don't know if Arelly can help you do that, but she can support you while you do those things. Everything that he does, you want to actually, as it were, hold him up, just like he's holding you up. You both want to do that for each other. It's very important. Continue to cultivate love. Now, when you cultivate love, that statement brings to mind perhaps a beautiful garden. If you had a beautiful garden, you know that it takes work. You have to go out there, but it's actually very enjoyable as you get into it and you see the fruits of your labor and you're willing to be patient and wait for whatever it is that you planted. Love is the same in a marriage. You continue to work on it, and you continue to enjoy it while you do. And the more you learn about it, the more joy you have when you're really working at it. You want to enhance your marriage every day. Now, today, you put on clothes that you may not wear that suit again, or maybe you will, I don't know, but it's put on today for a special reason. And I asked you, I said, what colors are you arranging for your marriage? And you said, oh, navy blue. And you started to describe the colors. And I thought, wow, that sounds really pretty. And now I can see that's beautiful, really nice. But the clothes enhance you for an occasion, perhaps. But when you clothe yourselves with love, both of you, it does the same thing. It enhances what you're doing every day that much more. So you want to continue to do that as if you were wearing love. Look for ways to show love to your mate. Seek them out. Like, how can I show her today that I love her very much? You do the same for Isaiah. Set aside time to talk together every day. Do your best to do that. You probably do it right now, and you want to continue to do that. to show each other that you really care. And what's very, very, very important is that you both make time to listen. It's easy to talk, and it's easy to try to answer, but it's better to listen and really try to understand what your mate is saying, even if you don't like it, because understanding it will make your reaction that much better, no matter what it is. So do your best to listen to one another. Now, our encouragement to you, of course, with Jehovah connected, is to make your own love song from here forward. Now, if you're a good songwriter, you can literally do that. Make your own love song together. But mentally and in your heart, looking at Jehovah, make a love song for your dear wife. Make a love song for your dear husband from today forward through the rest of your lives. Well, guess what time it is? It's that time when you are going to make your vows for one another. So if you can stand, please. Now we're going to ask the groom first, and do you, Isaiah Seuell, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Arelly Navarro to be your wedded wife, to love and to cherish in accordance with the divine laws outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands for as long as you both may live?
I do.
Now the bride. Do you, Arelly Navarro, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Isaiah Seuell to be your wedded husband, to love and to cherish and deeply respect in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives for as long as you both may live?
I do.
Now, if there are arrangements for this woman to be given in marriage, who gives her away? Very well. So it's time for our vows. Now we're going to start with the groom. And I'm going to do this slowly, okay? So I, Isaiah Seuell, take you, Arelly Navarro.
I, Isaiah Seuell, take you, Arelly Navarro,
to be my wedded wife,
to be my wedded wife,
to love and to cherish in accordance with the divine law,
to love and to cherish in accordance to the divine law,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
for Christian husbands,
for Christian husbands,
for as long as we both shall live together,
for as long as we both shall live together,
on earth according to God's marital arrangement.
on earth according to God's marital arrangement.
Very well. Now the bride, Arelly. I, Arelly Navarro,
I, Arelly Navarro,
take you, Isaiah Seuell,
take you, Isaiah Seuell,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to love and to cherish
to love and to cherish
and deeply respect,
and deeply respect,
in accordance with the divine law,
in accordance with the divine law,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
for Christian wives,
for Christian wives,
for as long as we both shall live together,
for as long as we both shall live together,
on earth according to God's marital arrangement.
on earth according to God's marital arrangement.
Well, if rings are to be exchanged at this point, now these rings are an outward and visible sign signifying to all the uniting of this man and this woman in the bonds of matrimony. For as much as Isaiah Seuell and Arelly Navarro have covenanted before Jehovah God and these witnesses to accept each other in wedlock, I, as an ordained minister, and by the authority conferred upon me by the Holy Scriptures and the state of California, pronounce that they are husband and wife together. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. So at this time, we'd like to ask Jehovah's blessing on this arrangement. You, Jehovah, we thank you so much, and we ask these things through the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. It is my happy pleasure to introduce to this marriage gathering brother and sister Isaiah Seuell.